Humbert here. Today we're going to be doing the Unit 2 Quiz 2 review. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at number 1. Which of the true statements or which of the following two statements are not true? So remember that symbol in the middle means congruent. So we're looking for angle relationships. So let's start by taking a look at angle 3 and angle 7. Well, angle 3 and angle 7 are alternate interior angles, which means they're going to be congruent. So I know that A is true. Now let's take a look at angles 1 and angle 4. Well, angle 1 and angle 4 are vertical angles, and vertical angles are congruent, so C is true. Let's take a look at E. So I notice that 5 and 6 form a line. So we don't necessarily know that they are congruent because things that form a line add up to 180. So E is one of them that is not true. Now let's take a look at F. So taking a look at F, we have angle 1 and angle 5. Well, angle 1 and angle 5 are corresponding angles, so that means yes, they are congruent. Let's take a look now at angle 2 and angle 6. Well, angle 2 and angle 6, notice that they're on the outside of the parallel lines on opposite sides, so they're alternate exterior angles. So D is also true. So that means that B cannot be true, which is angle 1 and angle 6. They're both on the outside, but they're not on alternate sides of the transversal, so they're actually not related, which means we can't say that they are congruent. So E and B are your answers for number 1. Now let's take a look at number 2. In the sketch for problem 1, if the measure of angle 4 is 68 degrees, what is the measure of angle 5? So we want to figure out how those two angles are related, 4 and 5. So I notice that they're both on the inside of the parallel lines on opposite sides of the transversal. So since they're on opposite sides of the transversal, that means that they are alternate interior angles, which means that they are congruent. So 4 is 68, then the measure of angle 5 is 68 degrees as well. Next, let's go ahead and take a look at number 3. The measure of angle 6 is 2x minus 17. The measure of angle 8 is 85. So I notice that 6 and 8 are going to form a line, which means that they add up to 180. So I get 2x minus 7 plus 85 is equal to 180. So now the first thing I want to do is to combine 2x or negative 7 and 85. So I get 2x plus 78 is equal to 180. So now the next thing I need to do is to subtract 78 from both sides. So then I get 2x is equal to 180 minus 78, which is going to be 102. So then, in order to solve for x, that 2 is being multiplied by the x. So I'm going to divide both sides by 102. And when I do that, I end up getting 51 degrees for number 3. Taking a look at number 4, it says that the measure of angle 2 is 46 degrees. What is the measure of angle 7? So I notice that angle 2 and angle 7 are corresponding angles, which means they have the same measure. So if 2 is 46, then 7 is also 46. So the answer to number 4 is B. All right, taking a look at number 5, it says, for problems 5 through 7, show your algebra work when solving or you may not receive full credit. Choices are alternate interior, consecutive interior, vertical angles, supplementary, alternate exterior, and corresponding in order for us to solve. So I take a look and I want to figure out how these two angles are related. So I notice that they're both on the outside and that they're on opposite sides of the transversal. So that makes them alternate exterior angles. So that's their relationship. So that's going to be the answer for my because of. So then I know that x minus 8 is equal to 120. So then to solve for x, I'm going ahead and add x to both sides, and I get 128. So I get that x is equal to 128 degrees for number 5. So let's take a look at number 6. So I notice on number 6 that they're both on the inside of the parallel lines and they're going boom, boom, right in order. So that means that they are consecutive interior angles. So they're consecutive interior angles. And consecutive interior angles are going to add to 180. Okay, so 4x plus 8x is 12x. And then 11 plus 1 is 12, and that's going to be equal to 180. So then I'm going to go ahead and subtract 12 from both sides. So I get that 12x is equal to 168. Well, that 12 is being multiplied by the x, so I'm going to go ahead and divide 12 from both sides, and I end up getting 14 degrees. So my answer for number 6 is that x is going to be equal to 14 degrees. Now, number 7 can be a little bit confusing because they aren't necessarily related by just one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that 6x plus w and I'm going to bring it up into here. So 6w, minus 20. That angle is going to be the same measure of that one because of vertical angles. So notice that that angle I popped it up to is a vertical angle. So we're going to go ahead and pop it up into there. And then what I can do is I know that 4w plus 10 and 6w minus 20 are consecutive interior angles. Okay, so there's really two because ofs here. So I know then that's going to add up to 180. So now I can go ahead and solve it for w. Well, 6w plus 4w is 10w. 10w minus 20 is going to be a negative 10, and that's equal to 180. Add 10 to both sides, and you end up getting 10w is equal to 190. Divide both sides by 10, and you get that w is equal to 19. So w is equal to 19 degrees, and your reasons are vertical angles and consecutive interior angles. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at some of this slope stuff that we've been working on. So using the slope formula, which you can see right there above you, find the slope of the line that passes through those 2 points. So we have x1, y1, x2, y2. So we're going to do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now remember, when you subtract a negative, it's going to become plus a positive. Well, 9 minus 4 is 5. 8 plus 2 is 10. So you never want to leave a fraction unreduced. So we need to reduce the fraction 5 over 10, which is going to give us 1/2. So the slope between those 2 points is 1/2. Now, let's take a look at number 9. Number 9 wants us to find the slope of DC to start off with. So we have x1, y1, x2, y2. So I'm going to do y2 minus y1 divided by x2. Oops, I did y1. Whoopsies. Sorry, so we're going to do x2 or y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So 17 minus 11 is going to give me a positive 6. 23 minus 5 is going to give me a positive 18. Both 6 and 18 are divisible by 3, so that's going to give me 2 over, or they're both divisible by 6, I'm sorry. 6 divided by 2 is 1. 18 divided by 6 is going to be 3. So the slope of DC is 1/3. Now let's go ahead and calculate out the slope of FE. So I have x1, y1, x2, y2. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Oops, this should be minus 17. Goodness gracious me. Okay, so then we have 15 minus 17, which is 2. And then we're going to have 9 minus 3, which is 6. So both of those are going to reduce, and you get 1/3. So the slope of FE is 1/3. Since they have the same slope, they are parallel. To get a perpendicular slope, you want to have opposite reciprocals. Last but not least, let's take a look. It wants us to graph the line that satisfies the condition. We want to find a slope perpendicular to this slope. So the first thing we're going to do is calculate out the slope. So we have y2 minus y1. When you subtract a negative, it becomes plus a positive. x2 minus x1. So I get 5 divided by 2. So that is the initial slope. But now we want to find one that's perpendicular to it. So to get perpendicular, we're going to flip the fraction over and make it negative. So now all we have to do is graph that line. So the first thing I'm going to do is graph the point 1, 3. So I'm going over 1 and up 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to go ahead and plot that point right there. Then, since my slope is going to be negative 2/5, From there, I'm going down 1, 2, and over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to plot that point and then connect the dots so it is beautifully graphed. So that concludes your note video or your quiz review for today. Once you're done with the quiz review, you can go ahead and start the quiz. Thanks for listening.